Face reveal. Yeah, sorry. I know this isn't a face reveal, but trust me, it's just easier this way. I tried to film myself, and you can barely hear me, and I can't really take all the time to edit that sound, make it dub over, you know, all the rest. And also, doing it in stop motion form means it uses less memory on my computer. So I'm sorry if you're disappointed that you didn't get to see my face. So yeah, if you're wondering, that's why. Okay? It's just easier this way. So I'm going to try and answer as many questions as I can. So here we go. Favourite rivalry. Austin McMahon obviously sticks in my mind because it just got even more bizarre each week. And since I've been watching, probably CM Punk and Jeff Hardy. I know there's been better rivalry since and before then, but you know, for some reason I like it. I liked it at the time. Made SmackDown worth watching for me, and you know, fan of them both. Will I open a PO box to send stuff to me? Like, what would you send? What, you mean like figures and stuff? Because I feel bad about that. Only because I don't want to feel like you're giving me stuff. If anything, I owe you. See what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. What would you send me? That's the question. There will definitely be a crazy debut in the future. There'll be a few, actually. As for those 5, well, Wyatt's obviously already in NLW. Shield has probably picked 1 or 2 individuals of the Shield. Luke Harper could be good. Ziggler, and obviously the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. But whether he'll debut in next year, who knows? I actually have 3 favourite superstars at the moment in WWE currently. Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. As for Bray Wyatt, well, good thing he's in NLW already, isn't he? I am definitely adding divas in the future. When am I doing fan mail? Again, what would you send me? Because fan mail, I don't know what that means. Like I said before, what would you send me? That's what I want to know. Because I am intrigued. Which one of my superstars do I like the best? Like, in terms of watching NLW, from like a kayfabe perspective, Raven. The favourite match I've made was Randy Orton against Batista in that Street Fighter WrestleMania. Why don't I skip metal and just do a pre-show, or just don't do a pre-show at all? Because it's set out like Sunday Night Heat used to be, where you had a shorter show, which sort of hyped the main show, but also had some decent matches on it as well, and then would hype the pay-per-view. That's why I do it the way I do, because it's based around Sunday Night Heat. Right, so I don't actually use a green screen, I use this effect that's a picture-in-picture on Sony Movie Studio. As you can see, I've got the Titantron up there, and the picture of the Titantron screen there. If you see right there, you click on Track Motion, and basically just fit it to the other picture. The video overlay, you fit right there, and as you can see, I'm now manipulating the picture to fit to the screen on the back there. As you can see in the background, you can see how you can fit it to the screen. So it's not actually a green screen, I just take one picture and then place the Titantron over the top of it. And the Titantron picture is usually in the video that I make, and there you can see that's how I made the Titantron fit to the screen. Now as for how I make the Titantron, it's really not that difficult. All you have to do is go into Movie Maker. I mean, mine aren't particularly special, but you could have, I don't know, alternating pictures. I make those logos in Paint, and as you can see, you can have manipulating images like that, and then simply create a Titantron. It could be moving, and there's, you know, there's various effects that you can use in Movie Maker, and that's how I make my Titantrons. Not really a lot of difficulty there, and just to save it, just click Save Movie. As for the sounds, I get them from YouTube, download, convert them to MP3, and then I've got them there. That's how I use them in my videos. Now, as for the fireworks, this isn't actually the firework picture, this is just something I made in Paint, because it was easier to display on the video. Now you can see that that's a picture of a firework, whatever the hell that is. Basically you go View, Video Effects, and then once this comes up, you click on Chroma Key, and that brings up the green screen. Now what I've done is downloaded a firework effect off YouTube and used it as a green screen, but this is a completely different thing. Basically it's the same process. Click on the colour you want to be blocked out, so it doesn't have to be a green screen necessarily, but that's what I've gone with. And then it's gone, and essentially you can manipulate the size of the firework to whatever size you want, and that's how I got my fireworks. But obviously I've got different to that one, but you can just get a firework effect off YouTube for free, I think. And there you go, that's how you do that. And finally, how I do my logos. It could be text, it could be Paint. You know, I do my logos, all of them in Paint, because basically you can just draw, you can use text and do different fonts and stuff, and same applies. Just click Save, and then you're done. I hope I've answered all the questions you've asked. If there's anything you need to know, or anything I didn't explain very well, please, you know, feel free to ask. The reason I wanted to start animating is because I recently saw, at the time, on YouTube, a guy called, I think he was like Rated R Superstar Is Back or something, do stop motion videos, and they're pretty alright to be fair for the time. And you know, I saw those and thought, hey, you know, I want to do that. So I did try and failed a lot of times, to be honest. I did loads of old episodes and they weren't even that good. They were just like, they're more like pic feds, to be honest, even though I perceived them to be stop motion. I did them in PowerPoint of all things. I don't know why. That was like years before I started NLW. That was like 4 years before I started. And when I started NLW, you know, I was just a bit bored one day and I thought, you know what, I could try it again. And as you'll see, they're not very good. In fact, I would argue that they're actually worse than the ones I did 4 years prior to that. Hey, that's what made me want to start animating, because I saw Radar Superstars Back's video and I thought, that's something I want to give a try. Yeah, because of popular demand, I'm going to do another WrestleMania show in full. However, it's not going to be soon. It's probably going to be, say, this time next year. I use Windows Movie Maker, Sony Movie Studio Platinum 12, and the camera I use is a Canon PowerShot A2300 HD, apparently. I don't know, maybe in future. Do I need logos for any of my upcoming shows? Well, to be honest, I prefer to do it myself, but that would be a good thing, actually. If I had like a PO box or like an email I could use to do like competitions to make like pay-per-view logos, I don't know. That'd be a good idea? If I got people to like send in different logos and stuff, and the winner would be used on my show. Sounds cool. There's always the possibility. Will I ever do gaming? Would people watch that? You know, if I started to do a gaming channel, would people watch it? Or would they not really care? I don't know, maybe. Can you do behind the scenes on how you do the arena? Can you show how you set up the stage and scenery before you do each show? Alrighty then. So this is kind of like a tour, I guess, through the NLW arena. Basically, there you see, what I have done is I have put it on top of a foosball table, which I am not using anymore, obviously, because I've got my tabletop on it. And that is the arena overview. At the moment I've got metal. There you go, a piece of cardboard there for the background, and here are my wrestlers in the crowd. Most of them are broken, and that is why they are in the crowd with loose limbs. The video cassettes I use as barricades, and as you can see here, just a piece of cardboard for the black floor padding. And these came with the Hell in a Cell set. Steel steps there, and as you can see, metal, the logo that's been placed on the side. This is just blue tacked on, not stuck on with, well, it is stuck on with blue tack. And here you see the ring ropes. That's basically bungee cord. You can get it off eBay in different colours. That's what I use for the ring ropes to tie it together. There you see that view. And down here, this is where I keep my usual ring. This is for NLW. I swap them for pay-per-views and metals. Announce table there. Just picking that up. And this is another piece of cardboard that I have stuck to the back of this beam, because I am in the attic, and that's why there's a massive beam running through it. Here is the stage. This is basically an old SmackDown set that I got rid of a couple of parts of it, and now it's made the metal arena. There you see it's been stuck down with tape there, and that's what it looks like from the back. And again, you see the video cassettes and the back of the boxes. Here is another part of the ramp. This is again just cardboard that's been stuck down. Except for this as well. This is what I use for my usual NLW show, so I'll just carefully take that out. And as you can see, this is where I put it up for the NLW shows. This is just gaffer tape together, duct taped if you will. That's not really much to it, to be honest. It's just cardboard and paper and everything been printed off. So I could do something more complicated for pay-per-views and stuff, but sometimes, and there you see that's the ring. You just lift it up and replace it with that ring there and with that scenery for NLW, but at the moment I've got metal up there. So, hope that's answered your question. We'll wait and see if he gets a title in the upcoming weeks. I started making wrestling videos for a number of reasons. One, because, you know, I already mentioned about the guy I saw on YouTube do stop motion already. And I also wanted to kind of do some sort of fantasy fed mixed with stop motion as well. So that's really why I wanted to do this as well. The stage you saw a couple of moments ago, the one for NLW, it's an old SmackDown set from, I don't know, 2001, 2002? Might be later, might be less, but it's the old Fist SmackDown break through the glass stage that I've just modified a little bit to make that. And then it's just literally just paper along the top and a couple of cardboard boxes along the side and some cardboard cutouts to hang from the roof. For the newer one that I used for the Cross the Line special most recently, I used the scaffold that came with that SmackDown set and I've literally just duct taped it together to make sort of that kind of like Nitro 2000 set. And my favourite wrestler, if I'm going to narrow it down from what I've already said, Finn Balor. Will the Shield debut in 2015? I don't know. They might. You know, there's always a possibility. But I'd actually prefer to have maybe one or two of them and have them in singles competition rather than the group, because you know you got the NWO already. Maybe, but I prefer to have one or two out of the Shield. I made a behind the scenes video in future in more depth and detail, but you know, just seen the stage, so I'll give it a little bit. So you got Blood Pen for blood, just a fine liner. Vivitar tripod, that's the large one that I use on the floor. Little tripod that I use on the actual stage so I can take close-ups. Box of weapons, I got another one stored somewhere else. Lamp, I keep that on a stack of boxes when for light, because that's what a lamp's for. Box stacked with figures, and here's my microphone that I use to record this and all the commentary. And like I said, I'll probably do more in-depth one in future if it's heavily requested. Will I create my own match type or have a CCW death match or some sort? I don't know, maybe. I'm always looking to do new matches. Face reveal. Yeah, sorry about not having a face reveal. Will The Rock debut? Could happen in future. Favourite wrestler? Finn Balor. If Batista does come back, I've got a pretty good condition Batista that's like deluxe aggression, so I don't think I'd really need to buy a new one if I did ever come back. But, you know, if it was on for a good price, I might. Yeah, when I said there was going to be a very bloody match at some point, that turned out to be Raven against John Cena. And, you know, there could be one in future, a couple more in future, but I want to keep them limited. It has more of an effect if it's on less often. And that Kane is a decent figure. Again, if I can afford it. And will Ray Ray ever come back? Well, you see, the thing is, he's got like little tiny legs and little tiny feet, which is why he doesn't wrestle anymore, and he's just as a manager. But because people kept saying, "Oh, where is he? Is he coming back or whatever?" So I was like, "Yeah, all right." And if you noticed, the last episode that Rey Mysterio was on was the same one that I brought Sin Cara on. Sin Cara is basically how I would have booked Rey Mysterio over the past few months. I just needed the mass wrestler to fill his shoes, but now Rey Mysterio's back and managing the Filthy Animals, and you know, the storyline is he's injured his back and can't compete again, but you know, maybe. Will I ever extend the NWO? Yeah, definitely. It's going to become a much more prominent faction than NLW in the future. And how did you pull off that Royal Rumble in a week? I don't know. It was more like a week and a half, to be honest, because I was a little bit ahead, and plus, it was half term, so I had the week off school at the time, so I just did that. And if you look back at it, I did take a lot of shortcuts. I took a lot of still pictures and stuff. It wasn't the greatest animation ever. But if I do a Royal Rumble again, then it's going to be better than that one. Hopefully, at least. Will I make AJ Styles face again? Maybe, but it's not going to be for a while because he's in the midst of a heel run at the moment. Favourite stop motion I've done? Well, I've already said what my favourite match to animate was. I think the one that turned out the best, or at least one of the best that I've done, is Sting vs The Undertaker in episode 24. I really looked at the movements and everything, although it probably looks just like any other match that I've done, but I tried to make it a little bit more of a higher standard than my previous episodes have been. Tried to make it more fluidly animated, shall we say. When did I start stop motion? I was around 9 or 10, I think, and it was 2008, I think. Like I said, after I saw the photo on YouTube do it, I thought I want to give it a go, although they weren't very good. Favourite WrestleMania matches? Bret and Owen WrestleMania 10, Undertaker CM Punk WrestleMania 29, TLC WrestleMania 17, and the World Title Triple Threat match at WrestleMania 20. How I come up with the storylines is basically I have a list of the wrestlers that are on the active roster and what the matches are going to be at the next pay-per-view and the previous pay-per-view, so that I can decipher who's faced who and who needs to, what I need to do basically in order to develop a storyline going into the next pay-per-view. And since I watch so much wrestling, I've basically seen most of it already. So it's about interpreting those storylines into the current ones I have. And sometimes just trying to find something that I haven't done before in NLW, like, for example, bizarre things like hit and runs and thrown into the river and stuff like that. You know, every so often, just to spice things up a little bit. How do I think WWE's going so far? It's awful, you know? I mean, it's getting a little bit better, but every time I say that, it usually just takes a huge downturn. I mean, the road to WrestleMania was just terrible, obviously. WrestleMania, it was alright. And the Raw and SmackDown after, they were fine. Just, if you could book the show like you do on the Raw after WrestleMania and the SmackDown after WrestleMania, but for every week, it would be fine. And I'm just waiting for the NXT guys to get called up, obviously. The reason I still watch it is because, you know, I want it to get better, but, you know, sometimes it's hard. But don't get me wrong, it's not all terrible. There are some decent bits on the show as well. As for the Royal Rumble, was I upset about it? Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't like Roman Reigns, obviously. I don't mind if he's in the main event. He's just so smug. That's the thing I don't like about him. He's just so smug. He's such a perfect heel as well. He's such a perfect heel. He's so smug, he doesn't really care what the fans think, and, you know, he could dominate every babyface in the company if he wanted to, but obviously they were desperate for a new main eventer, and I guess he was the guy to face Brock Lesnar, but I don't know. He doesn't bother me as much as he bothers some people, but, you know, there's still a lot of improvement, and I would have given him a year's build-up, to be honest. How do I do these stop motions and upload them in such a short space of time? I take a lot of shortcuts. If you notice the difference between me and a lot of animators are, you know, actually good at what they do, whereas me, I'm more of a... It's more of a fantasy fed more than a stop motion, to be honest. That's what I like to focus on more. I try and make the animation as good as I can, but, you know, I also see people saying, oh, there's loads of pauses and stuff, but that's me taking shortcuts. That's just because I'm a lazy guy, in a sense. Like, I'm better than I used to be, but the fact that I upload it so consistently is down to the fact that I set when I need to do things. I like plan it out. I'll only make proper long matches for pay-per-views and stuff. Other than that, I'll just try and make the most of the time and try and make as much of a story out of things as possible. I guess that's one reason. And also I make it in advance, so this, as at the time I'm doing this, while I'm complaining about WWE, it could be much better by now, because it's, what, end of April? I'm doing this at the beginning of April. I'm like ahead of the game, you see. As for when Batista will return to NLW, if he will, yeah, maybe. There's a storyline there. Have I thought about making a website? Yeah, definitely. I think that's something I could do in future. It'd be good to lay out the history of NLW, so to speak, on a webpage, so yeah, maybe. My thoughts on Lesnar re-signing. I'm glad. I think it made the WrestleMania match a little less predictable. I think that, yeah, like you said, I really would like to see Randy Orton or Daniel Bryan go up against Brock Lesnar. I think that could be amazing. Although, with that said, I did predict that Seth Rollins was going to cash in. I thought that was a good idea. Build him up to be your next star. Yeah, but exactly what you said about having Lesnar against Orton and Bryan. To be honest, I would have preferred those matches at WrestleMania, one of those two, either Randy Orton like Daniel Bryan, like you said, and have Roman Reigns be built up a little bit more and go after the title at next year's WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. But you know what, at the time I'm saying this, it's turned out pretty well. Although if he'd been booked correctly, Roman Reigns could be so much more popular right now. Opinion on WWE dropping the Stardust-Goldust feud. I was surprised. They seem to be putting a lot of momentum behind that, and obviously it wasn't getting over well enough, but another matchup could have been decent, to be honest. I mean, the one at Fastlane wasn't great, was it? But yeah, definitely could have done more with that, but they did drop the ball a little bit, unfortunately. Will I get new figures for NLW? Yeah, definitely in the future. Will I create another show? No, probably not. There's too many already, to be honest. Will I do a face reveal? Yeah, again, sorry about that. Can I do a contest where the winner gets their own superstar in NLW? That's a good idea. Yeah, maybe. Will I make a figure of myself? The commissioners kind of already like that. And anyway, I'm crap at customs, so a figure wouldn't even turn out to look like me anyway, to be honest. Will I make another show? Like I've said. And there's only so much I can animate in a week anyway. Are any more superstars leaving and joining NLW? Yeah, all the time. Usually if a superstar leaves NLW, I've essentially worn out the figure. And I can't animate with them anymore, and that's why they're gone. So if you wonder why, oh, where's this guy or whatever, it's probably because the joints are mangled or whatever. Obviously there's going to be more superstars added in the future, I guarantee it. Dean Ambrose isn't my favourite superstar, but he does make my top 10, I'll say that. Favourite wrestling show besides WWE, gotta be Impact, I watch it every week. There's always a possibility he might. To be honest, I wasn't expecting it to be a great WrestleMania, even though the match card was decent. Every match that did happen was significant in some way or another, and I think that was good, because, you know, sometimes you get a lot of filler, but all the matches were of decent length. And it was definitely one of the better WrestleManias over the past 10 years. Despite my low expectations, it did exceed them. Opinions on WrestleMania matches. Alright, the ladder match, good. Orton vs Rollins, amazing. Triple H vs Sting, yeah, it was cool, but the DX NWO thing was a bit weird. I mean, it was a cool moment, obviously, but it just made no sense in the storyline. Divas match, well, it was just treated as a filler, wasn't it? But, you know, it was fine for what it was. Cena vs Rusev, didn't enjoy it, really. Although, if I watched it again, I might enjoy it a little bit more, but it wasn't very good at the time. And Undertaker vs Bray Wyatt. Undertaker looked a lot better than he did last year, and I don't really mind that Undertaker won. I wouldn't have minded either way, to be honest, how that match went. And the main event, it was fine. It's not like Roman Reigns performed a variety of moves or anything. He did a couple punches in the spear, but you know, it added to the match, so it was part of the story, and I guess that was fine in that sense. And Rollins cashing in is amazing because, obviously, being my favourite wrestler on top of the mountain at WrestleMania, that's great. So yeah, definitely, like I said before, one of the better WrestleManias of the past 10 years, and the fact that Brock re-signed, I did think he would retain, and then Rollins would cash in after Roman Reigns got, speared him, but he cashed in mid-match, which was pretty cool. I think at this WrestleMania in particular, it should have been Roman Reigns against Rusev, and Roman Reigns to end Rusev's streak, because an American gets cheered against a Russian no matter what, done it. So, I would have had Roman Reigns go on a long, unbeaten run with that title and maybe lose it to, I don't know, Sheamus or something at SummerSlam, build him up from there, and then go on to face someone like Brock Lesnar at next year's WrestleMania. And then people are more emotionally invested in Roman Reigns, it doesn't feel forced. So a more organic push would have been better, I think. And like I said before, I would have preferred Randy Orton or Daniel Bryan in the main event, but hey, turns out alright at the moment, I suppose, but maybe a longer build from Roman Reigns is best. Because it's not like I don't like Roman Reigns, I just don't like the idea of him, that's what I meant to say. I'm sure he is ready, but it's just a bit too forced. Ray probably won't compete in NLW again. As for betraying his friends, that's the question. I've been doing NLW for almost 3 years now, since 2012, and I like to think I've improved somewhat since then. Because of the fact that so many people have asked me to do a Royal Rumble, I'm going to do one in October, so that means that there's only going to be one pay-per-view to go until the Royal Rumble. I wasn't originally going to do a Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, but because people obviously want it, I'm going to do it. And yeah, there's only going to be one. It's going to be Heatwave, and then the Royal Rumble 2. I use Canon camera like I said earlier, and Movie Maker and Sunny Movie Studio. Will I make a tutorial about how to do stop motions? I don't know. I don't think I'm the best person to ask for a tutorial. If you want to look for a tutorial, if you search on YouTube, I know that Loser Kings does one that's pretty good, and I know a load of other people have done some as well that have helped me, so I'll probably help you as well. Will I ever show my face? I might do. The only reason I haven't done it this time is because it was just a bit less convenient. And will I base the next pay-per-view on a certain type of match? I've never really liked that idea. I feel it kind of gimmicks up the pay-per-view too much and strays away from storylines, so no. Although there will be some gimmick matches on the next pay-per-view. Will I do a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match with a twist? Yes. Yeah, I'm going to do one in future. Definitely. Favourite tag team? Hardys, I guess. Favourite pay-per-view? WrestleMania 17, WrestleMania 22, Spring Stampede 1999, ECW One Night Stand 2005, and Money in the Bank 2011 are pretty good. And TNA Unbreakable 2005 and TNA Destination X 2011. There's loads. Favourite stable and faction? Evolution, I guess. Favourite finishing move? Either the Phoenix Splash or the, I think it's called the End of Days. Baron Corbin uses it in NXT. How far ahead do I plan these storylines? Well, the pay-per-views I plan ahead quite a while, because I like to know where I'm heading for in terms of feuds. Episodes I don't really plan as far ahead as those, but I will do it so that I know I'm not going to repeat matches, if you see what I mean. I plan these very much in advance, so when anybody asks me like, oh, you can add this guy or add this guy, but the fact is I've already incorporated my own people in it, so that's why it's difficult for me to incorporate people. But then again, every year I do ask the fans to vote for who they want to see in NLW, and I'll, base the storyline around the person who I don't even know who it's going to be. WrestleMania is going to be sometime around this time next year. Heatwave's kind of like SummerSlam, so I'm probably not going to do a SummerSlam. I'm going to do another Elimination Chamber match, and that'll probably be shortly after WrestleMania. All the animes I used to watch back in the day, have inspired me to do NLW, and also watching some old Raws and SmackDowns as well. That kind of inspired me, because I wanted to do some sort of fantasy fed, which NLW's kind of like. So yeah, that's what inspired me.